Hey everyone, and welcome to Death By, where contestants will earn reps for their arguments or fear elimination. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Whoever I decide has the best argument through the final round will stand on top of the podium and earn 30 seconds to talk about a topic of their choosing. On today's episode, we have two-time Affiliate Cup champion and seminar staff head trainer James Hobart, CrossFit Games reporter Nikki Brazier with Kettlebells and Cocktails, affiliate owner and CrossFit analyst Chase Ingram with Get With The Programming, and Games athlete Tim Paulson with Team CrossFit East Nashville Proven. Let's play Death By. Starting with topic one, two-time CrossFit Games champion Justin Medeiros placed 5th overall at the North American West semifinals, a placement that, although still qualified him for the games, was not as high as most of us would have expected. So, will he be dethroned in Madison, and if so, by who? But if not, why? 30 seconds on the clock. Chase, we're going to start with you today.
I think, to give all respect to the champ, it's not will he, but can he? And I think the answer there subtly is yes, he can be beat at the CrossFit Games like anyone can. But Adler, Vellner, Fikowski, the 3 Canadians, I think all have a chance to, as well as Roman Krenikov as your 4 available athletes in there. Medeiros was only 12th if you look at the worldwide ranking as far as games qualifiers from semifinals. So will he be beat? I don't know, a lot of respect there, but the champ is a champ until he gets beat, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Nikki, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, it sucks. You should have asked me first because I have a similar answer to Chase. My answer is I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know if he will or won't, but I can tell you what I want to happen. And I love me a juicy storyline. So if I could pick who I would want to come out on top above Justin at the CrossFit Games, I would give you 2 options. I would give you one, Pat Vellner, who made an insane showing at the West semifinal and who I think really deserves that podium spot. And 2, I can give you Roman Krenikov because he has just been building and building and building year over year. And after the drama of him not being able to travel globally, I want to see it happen.
All right, Tim, you were actually able to compete against Justin on the floor. You won't be doing that this year, but what are your thoughts about him trying to get a 3rd title?
I agree. I think, you have to beat the champ. But if I had to give all my kind of eggs in one basket, I would put them in the Roman Krenikov basket. I think judging based off of things he's historically struggled with at semifinals, he did great in the snatch event. He put up 280 under fatigue with the run. So I think he's really kind of shoring up some of those weaknesses that have held him back in the past. And of all those guys, he has the capacity to win events at the games, multiple most likely. So if he can turn some of his bottom 30s into some top 15s, he could do it.
James, are you an outlier here, or do you agree with our other panelists?
Oh boy. All right, so I kind of disagree with everybody. If you do look at the cross semifinals comparisons, it doesn't look like Justin's going to win the games. But back in 2021, he finished 3rd at the MAC, 57th in the world in the open, 37th in the region, similar position this year. And then he went on to win the games. Also, repeat winners, I think, have a leg up on everyone else because they know what they can do well as what they have to work on to get better. And people who have not won still have to figure out, what do I need to do to win? Justin has that. He's back on top 2023.
Ooh, James, I think this is the most points that you've ever earned on Death By, and all in the first round.
Nice. I'm so prepared. It's like I can feel it.
I know. I felt the fire and the energy.
I've been rehearsing in my mirror all morning. My powder room.
At the end of round 1, we have James Hobart leading the way with 3 points, followed by a 2-way tie. Nikki Brazier, Tim Paulson with 2 points. Chase Ingram, I think we might have had a little bit of a scoring issue there. You only earned 1, but
one away from me.
I heard
it went away and then it came back. But
yeah,
I'm confident that you'll make it up in this next round. We'll see what happens.
Time, it's only fair.
On to topic number 2. After being on site for one of the major semifinals, or James at least watching from home on the live stream, is this condensed format of having just 1 European semifinal and just 2 North American semifinals a step forward or a step backwards? Now we have 45 seconds on the clock. James, you're leading the way, so we're going to let you kick off this round.
All right. I'm glad that you just pointed out, because I saw this question. I was like, well, I didn't go to any in-person semifinals, so thanks. So I have no idea. I think it is a step forward, right? So we're looking back at the 2018 was the last time we had regionals. We had 9 events. 2022 with the sanctionals, we had 10 events plus the online qualifiers, and now we're back to 7 events total. So from a spectator standpoint, I think it's a much better place to be, easier to follow. It was really hard to keep track of all of those sanctional events. So in that way, I think it's a step forward. Also, we're returning to CrossFit controlled events, which overall I think is better because they can dictate the test experience for all athletes. So all athletes get to the game on the same footing. So I'm a fan.
All right, Chase, you were there calling a little bit of the action for some of the events. Had a good time. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's unequivocally a step in the right direction. By no means are we there, but I think we're better off than where we were. One thing is obviously CrossFit Run events like James was talking about is fantastic. You have a level of consistency from semifinal to semifinal. But what the step forward was the people showing up to watch. It was almost desolate in the last year or two during sanction events. But in these condensed formats, the people showed up and they were loud. Another thing I love about this new format is that we're going back to standardized programming. We have stories to tell. We have things to compare week to week. We have things to talk about during semifinals to lead into the CrossFit Games because of that. 100% step forward and a good building block for the future.
There you go. That extra point at the buzzer beater. Tim, what did it feel like to compete at semifinals this year compared to the formats in past years?
I mean, we're going to reiterate all the same things, I think, here. I think I really like to see the standardized programming back. The athlete experience was pretty good, but I agree with Chase. I think the biggest thing was that we created spectacles that people wanted to actually go see. Like there was actually butts in seats for every event, every heat of every event. You could see like the crowd was fired up and the environment was great. And I think that was a huge plus. And that's what we need to see in these kind of really big qualifying stages for the season. There's definitely still some room for growth. I think that hopefully after a year of kind of ironing out this super regional format, we'll start to see some of those little kinks in the road ironed out. And hopefully the CrossFit Games team's going over all of that stuff. But like I said, I think it's a huge step forward. Nothing but good things for semifinals.
And Nikki, you were back on the floor calling some of the action, interviewing the athletes. What was your experience like this year based on other years? Is this a step in the right direction? You agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. For the exact same reasons that everyone else listed out, I do think that the standardized programming gives us a much more even playing field, and it allows the athletes some sort of level of comparison between them, their training, their colleagues across the world. And from my perspective, when I am out on the floor with the athletes and I get to tell them right after an event ends, hey, you just beat, the record that was set last week here or worldwide or something, that is the motivation they oftentimes need to really carry them through the rest of the competition. I will also add, as a CrossFit OG, it's a step forward by taking a step back, because the nostalgia that comes from reformatting the season to feel more like what we knew in the past before the brand had a lot of really unstable years with everything that's happening across the world, I think is a step in the right direction for the fans to feel like we're coming home to what we know as CrossFit.
I like that thought. At the end of round number 2, we have James Hobart still in the lead, 5 points.
That's a surprise.
It is a time to be alive. Mark your calendars, the time, the day, Tuesday, June 27th. We have Chase.
I've won one of these. Back. Like, it's not that big of a surprise. You guys are devastating.
I love it. I love it. Chase, you're following behind with 4 points. And then Nikki and Tim tied for 3 going into the third round here. We're going to keep all of you guys because I kind of want to see your answers on this next one. But just keep in mind, 2 people will be eliminated after this round.
Double. Okay.
Double elimination. Lots of points on the line here. On to topic number 3. Last week, the news broke that Justin Berg would no longer be CrossFit HQ's general manager of sport, but instead Dave Castro would step in as the leader of the sports team. What is the impact to the games team with this shift in Dave's role, as now he's leading the charge? We all have 1 minute on the clock. We will have Nikki kick off this round.
Okay, so you're not going to like my answer because my answer is really flatline. We just don't know. But the reason behind that is because we don't really have a good understanding yet of exactly what Dave's role and responsibility is going to be as he steps into this new director of sport situation. Because what a lot of people don't realize is this is not Dave's old job. Like, we don't necessarily know right now that he's going to be coming back in and programming. As far as we know, that's Adrian Bosman's job. What JB did was much more related to communications from the sport side of CrossFit with the media team, with what happens out on the broadcast, with communication between the athletes, their stories, and the public. And we have no idea yet if Dave's going to have that exact role, or if his responsibilities are going to change, or if CrossFit is segmenting that role out to him and other people as well. So it's like, it's really impossible to know exactly the direct impact he's going to have because we don't have a list of bullet points of roles and responsibilities that he's going to step into. And it's not one-to-one, like this is not his old job, which I think a lot of folks kind of just like in the CrossFit community thought. So we'll see what happens.
Tim, you and I spoke about this shortly after the news broke, but now that we've had a week to simmer on it, maybe you've talked to other folks. What are your thoughts on this new role?
I think probably the most important thing and the biggest plus is that, again, we're going to make some assumptions here as far as what Dave is doing, but if he's the director of the sport, then his goal is to put on the best CrossFit Games possible. And I think one of the things that's been lacking a little bit from the athlete experience over the last year or two since his departure were kind of the militaristic attention to detail that really made these events feel like a well-oiled machine and really kind of run off without a hitch. And I think that's something that Dave's absolutely going to bring back. So he's not going to let, some of these things slide. And I think just that vibe from the top down of, Dave kind of reinforcing to everybody, like, you need to do your job to the best of your ability, and that is it. And having those clearly defined roles for folks so that they can excel. I think that's the biggest thing that Dave will bring back to the table and the biggest noticeable difference that we'll see this year, because the programming's already in the books, the sponsors are already in the books. He's not going to make any changes there. So the best thing that he can do is bring a little bit more militaristic detail to the event, which I think will be great.
Chase, you're well tied into the sport, the community, the industry. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm with Nikki in a point is like, we don't exactly have all the information now, but at least we can look back on 15 years of CrossFit Games run, birthed, and developed by Dave Castro. And I think that is a great position to have him in when you're looking at the sport team as a whole. Is he going to come in and start taking over the programming? I don't think so. And like Tim said, it's probably already all done. They're out there testing things out. But what you want to look at is attention to detail when it comes to the sport itself. The one thing Justin did, and you guys have said this, is that he developed great relationships and communication lines with athletes. But along those lines, I think some things slipped when it comes to the main stage of the CrossFit Games, the semifinals, the quarterfinals, and the Open, which Dave Castro will bring back to the front as one of the most important pieces. But visually and externally, should there anything be different going to the games? No, but internally things should change. There needs to be responsibility. There needs to be accountability. And those things we know will come from Dave Castro. Internally is where I want to see the big changes come from.
James, working so closely to that internal team, have you been able to see any of those shifts thus far, or what's your perspective on the topic as a whole?
No, I really like everybody's line so far. A little bit of fence sitting here. Line so far, but I do think we need to wait and see. There are a lot of moving parts. The games team now more than ever has been kind of ahead of the ball in terms of getting things ready for events and qualifying events leading up to the games. I imagine they're pretty well into the games prep process. So one of the things I have seen Dave do as his leadership role has grown inside of CrossFit, he's done a really nice job of sort of stepping back, surveying what's going on rather than just jumping and changing things right off the bat. He has a really nice knack for looking at what's going well and what could be better. And I think he will bring that to the table. And especially one of the things I've seen from Dave in the past when it's come to the games is he never imagined it, I think, that it was only going to be just him. He wanted to make sure that if he had skills he could pass on to others, that he passed those on. So if he did have less of a role or a different role, the games could continue to be great. So I'm expecting to see that continue to happen, and we'll see slow changes.
Yep. It's definitely still early as all of these changes have happened. About 5 weeks until the CrossFit Games. At the end of round number 3, James Hobart still leads the way with 6 points, followed by Chase Ingram with 5. And then unfortunately, Nikki and Tim tied. Both of you are being eliminated.
I would like to make a proposition.
Ooh.
No, not
All
for all the
right.
smack talk that you had in the email.
No.
Take your L, bro. Take your
No
L.
bartering.
Real quick,
Wait, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
This next question, I think it will be really cool to have 4 answers for. Don't give Nikki and I any points. Don't let us say anything other than our athlete in our event, but let those guys go first. And just let us give our opinion, because I think it will be cool to see.
Actually, I
would like this, because I didn't watch a ton of semifinals, so I would like to hear I would like to hear your perspectives.
James worried he's going to get negative
I had to
points
watch
in
them
this
all
round.
from my phone.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
me and James go first, and then I would like to hear what Tim and Nikki's favorite was for their picks.
Okay. Okay. Death by these guys now, Lauren. Is that okay with you as you run the show?
Participation trophy. That's what I'm here for.
You get a ribbon for participating.
I love it. I would love to hear their picks for fun.
Okay.
Yeah, we will make it work. We
Like,
headed
put
into
their
round
boxes in
number 4.
gray. They're not competing anymore. It's just
They're
me and
gone.
Tim.
Yep. You see, they already have the DNFs that did not finish. Points don't matter for them. Going into topic number 4. Looking back at semifinals, what was the best performance? Each of you will pick one athlete in one event, 1 minute on the clock. Chase, we're going to let you lead the way here. What was your favorite athlete moment of semifinals?
I would say this isn't my favorite moment because there's a lot of cool things I enjoyed watching, but I would say the most important moment for any athlete in any event based off their performance was Justin Medeiros in event number 6 at the Northwest semifinal, because coming up to that point, he was having dismal performance relative to Justin Medeiros back-to-back champs performance goes, and he needed this. But not only did he do great, he set an event record that wasn't even going to be close to being touched around the world. And why was that important? Because for someone who has won back-to-back, yes, you've got that going in your favor, but there was nothing going Justin's way that entire semifinal. And not only did I think that performance was impressive, obviously it was an event record that we've seen so far, but I think he needed that if he wanted any chance of having any confidence going to the CrossFit Games. So not only was that my favorite event, I thought that was the most important event for any athlete, any semifinal going into the CrossFit Games.
That is so not what I expected, but I feel convinced now. That was a good answer. James, you going to follow that one up? I'm curious to hear yours now.
Mine's not nearly as well thought out and I don't know. So mine was just Jason Hopper in the North America East semifinal, the event 4. It was 6 minutes, run an 800 remaining time, 1 rep max snatch. And I think Jason Hopper hit 305 and the bar started to move off the ground, literally at the buzzer. It was like this event for me watching it. It kind of gives you that game 6, clock's running down, jump shot, feels to win the game. It was absolutely one of the most awesome things that I have seen. And then similar to what Chase was saying, I think as an athlete, and I think this was either a competition, if not a personal best for Hopper in terms of a lift. I think as an athlete, the confidence it builds for you when your kind of back is up against the wall and you're making lifts or getting across the finish line at the last second, that is huge as you lead into the games, because that's the kind of stuff you need to do well at the games. You don't just need to be fit, you need to have everything else line up, and he had that there. So loved it.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment to see, especially live in person. Okay, Tim, changing the rules on the fly.
Again with
now
that.
Basically my co-host. One athlete, one moment. You get no points, but let's hear what you have to say.
I want you no points. And
may God have mercy on your soul.
Better be good.
I mean, I got to give, so my one athlete, one event would go to Dallin Pepper in event 7, the assault bike finale or echo bike finale. That
Great
whole
event.
heat, there was 5 guys that beat the first place finisher from every other semifinal in that just stallion of a finale at the North America East. So what he did, he set a world record on it. They were week 1, so he didn't have any scores to go off of or anything like that. He just set himself on fire perfectly, and it was so beautiful to watch, because you love when someone can just blast an echo bike and survive, kind of just long enough anyway. So yeah, I think his performance relative to the field was just very impressive because, like I said, week one, you don't have any other scores, any times to beat. You just go out there, burn it down, and he did. I mean, the dude, yeah, he beat every other first place finisher in every other semifinal by over 20 seconds. And the other top 5 guys also all beat the first place finisher from every other semifinal, Hopper, Krenikov, and Vigneault. So that was cool.
That's
that
a
was
good
cool
one.
moment. Nikki, what is yours? Bringing it home.
We're picking Echo Bright Spring event.
Hannah Black, 1 rep max snatch,
Oh,
North American West
yes.
semifinal. And I will tell you why, twofold. First of all, because she's a lesser known athlete. So she is sort of really, that storyline to me is sort of echoing the sentiment of like new athletes are coming, young athletes are coming, and we cannot necessarily look at just the field of past finishers and past winners to see who we think are going to make the climb up the leaderboard season over season. The second thing is that 215-pound snatch, anytime, I would say every time a woman steps out onto the field of play and snatches a barbell like that, she is raising the bar higher and higher and higher for women in our sport over and over. And if you look back at early CrossFit Games when our women struggled to snatch 85 pounds, it is incredible to see how far we come and how much further we come year over year. And it is like not becoming that insane of a feat to do these days. Like the top tier elite female athletes absolutely can hit these weights and they're just pushing the max over and over. So it is amazing to watch.
Yeah, and I think she went for 135 at the end, but there just wasn't enough time.
Yeah. And I
Absolutely
think she had hit
insane.
130 in training that week or the previous week or something crazy along those lines. So like, yeah.
Some really cool moments.
I feel like Nikki should get an extra life for that answer. like in Mario when you get the green mushroom and it's like 1 up.
Yeah, I'm here for it. No, I'll save that for next time. I'll throw that life whatever in at some point. Change the rules.
Great answers from Tim and Nikki. Unfortunately, no points were awarded. So we're going to say bye-bye as James and Chase advance to the final question of the final round. Topic number 5. Some other major news that was announced post semifinals. Ben Bergeron will be stepping away from leading the elites at CompTrain after 15 years. Stepping up to fill his shoes, almost 10-time CrossFit Games athlete Cole Sager. So how can Cole taking over the elites at CompTrain reignite the program, especially given the rise in other training camps? 1 minute on the clock. James, we will let you kick this final round off.
Awesome. I really love this question. I think one of the things that made CompTrain great early on was that they supported athletes like masters athletes at the games. They supported teams. They supported athletes getting to regionals. It wasn't just about these podium games winners. And that's where I think they lost some steam, was that CompTrain really realigned to just focus on a handful of games athletes. And so once you had a couple of those games athletes move on or not make it, it really lost a lot of steam. So the thing one that Cole can do is make it important for things like teams and make it notified that CompTrain is training teams and athletes who don't just make it to the games, but make it to and through all levels of competition. If you look at the monsters like Mayhem, it's like, yeah, Mayhem has athletes and teams getting to the podium, teams winning the games, but they celebrate athletes who get to any stage of competition, and they are pervasive and everywhere. I think that's the one main thing Cole can do, is don't just make it about the few elite athletes gunning for the podium.
Love that. Chase, can Cole Sager reignite CompTrain? If so, how?
Reignite is a very interesting word to use because it almost puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage. Do I think Cole can? Yes, I can, because I like Cole. But here's the things that are like qualities of Cole Sager. He's super nice. He's very accommodating. He's genuine. He's committed. He's just a man of the people in a sense when it comes to that. So when you look at reigniting, does someone with those characteristics relight the flame that Ben Bergeron had started to burn? Is that going to reignite the flame when you have the Matt Frasers, the Rich Fronings, the Tia Toomeys? Those type of personalities in the training space do not align with someone like Cole Sager. But does he have the qualities to maybe build a community like James was talking about? I think so. But the drawback there is like you're taking a guy who trains exclusively in his garage, that hasn't really coached an affiliate, that doesn't really work inside of an affiliate. Those are the questions that need to be asked going into that. But do I think Cole is a guy that can curate something like this? Yes, I do, but it'll be remain to be seen.
Chase, are you saying that nice guys finished last?
Yes, that's exactly
what he said.
That is what I was reading between the lines there.
That's why I lost to James, apparently. I'm just too nice.
Oh, James.
That's not true. James is nice. No, he's not.
Chase, you were so close. 8 points. James will advance to podium pedestal. 30 seconds. Any topic. State your case. Give us the rundown.
All right. So I was originally listening, I didn't see the timer go up, but I was originally listening to a podcast, I think by Jason Khalipa, and he was former Death by competitor and guest. He was talking about making sure we have retestable benchmarks at multiple stages of competition across years. And this is something I would really like to see, is where we have a classic CrossFit benchmark tested regularly, maybe in the open, across multiple years. So athletes can depend on seeing that same test so they can have a clear indication of where they're seeing improvement and maybe where they're not seeing improvement. The other reason I think this is really important is I think it'll make CrossFit accessible to more people outside of the sport, because it'll be looked at as, hey, that is the standard CrossFit test, and it is something that we can rally people around, similarly to how people have rallied around Memorial Day Murph. And I think that would be a really cool thing. So hoping to see that start sooner rather than later.
I like it. Great concept. And James, congratulations, earning the title today of the Death by Champion. Little round of applause from his competitors. We'd love to see it. Two-time champ. Chase,
Tim.
Nikki, James, Tim, thank you all so much for joining today and competing, changing the rules a little bit. It was a lot of fun. We are going to be taking next week off for the 4th of July holiday, but make sure you go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, check out all of our content. We currently are on the final push for the CrossFit Games. Lots of athlete interviews that you'll be able to see on there. And as always, follow us on Instagram, and you can also join us on Patreon. For today, I am Lauren Kalil from everybody at Talking Elite Fitness. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.